What's up, guys? Chase over here, bringing you the Thursday Q&A. Thank you all very much for sending in your questions. Remember, if you guys want your questions answered, description box down below with all the details on how you can get your questions answered here. Let's get started with this one. Travis Nelson asks, who should get a push into WWE besides Rollins, Ambrose, Wyatt, and Cesaro? Big E, Langston, and Ryback. Those are two of my favorites. I like Big E stuff in NXT, and I've always been a big Ryback fan, so those would be the two I would like to see get pushed. Trubbish Talk asks, what is your favorite Randy Orton match of all time? Randy Orton versus Cactus Jack, 2004 Backlash. To me, his best match and my favorite match. Go watch it. And do you think Roman Reigns has a good future in the WWE? Yes, I don't view Roman Reigns as the next John Cena because Roman Reigns during his time right now has not been really that big of a ratings draw like Cena was when he was first getting pushed, nor has he been a big merch seller. It's not like his new Roman Reigns shirt is selling off on WWE.com like John Cena's Word Life shirts would. So I definitely think he has a good future in the WWE, but I don't think overall he will be the next top star. I think he's definitely the next Triple H of the WWE, where he feuds with the guy who makes a lot of money, but he doesn't necessarily make a lot of money for the company. James Isabel asks, have you ever had a dream that you thought was real, then it wasn't? Yeah, many times. You know, one time before finals week, I had a dream that I missed my finals, and I was freaking out about it, and then I woke up and thank God that I didn't miss my finals in real life. But yeah, that has happened to me a bunch of times where I felt like a dream was just completely real, and then all of a sudden I wake up and be sadly disappointed that it wasn't. And am I becoming one of your favorite people asking questions? James Isabel, you're always one of my favorites. You comment on all my videos, you ask good questions. Of course you're one of my favorites of all time, so why not? Alrighty then, let's get to the YouTube questions. Lee Kelly asked two questions for you. Do you notice that Preston and the Lex Man always agree on everything in their videos? Don't think we ever heard of them argue about anything. Yeah, they do always agree. I always feel like if you're going to do a podcast, make sure you have differing opinions and you have different ideas on the subject that you're talking about. And it's not always like, yeah, man, I agree. That's what just makes a podcast more entertaining in my personal opinion. But yeah, they do agree on everything. Next question is, how many title reigns do you think Randy Orton will have by the end of his career? I would like to see him get 15, as he is one of my favorites of all time. I would say 13. I'm always someone that, like, you know, if my guy wins a world title, I want it to feel special. And, you know, Orton has, like, so many random, like, stupid one-month title reigns. But I always like it when Randy Orton holds the title because at least I'm guaranteed that he's either going to hold it for just at least 1 month and then I'm going to hate that title reign, or he's going to get a nice, long 6-month title reign out of it. So that's just me personally when it comes down to Randy Orton title reign. So I would say 13. That would be a good number. Mr. TNA 2005 asked, to me, AMW versus Triple X is the best feud in wrestling history and delivered at Turning Point in the best match in wrestling history. Which are for you? The best feuds in wrestling history to me, Hogan versus Andre, Hogan versus Savage, Rock versus Austin, and Rock versus Triple H. Every time I felt like they had a big money match, and I always feel like those guys delivered. So those would be the best feuds to me, at least. And if you could give some Charger players the qualities of some wrestlers from the present, who would they be and which would those be? Ryan Matthews, I would give him Dolph Ziggler's personality just to make him more edgier and more driven when it comes down to it. I'll give Manti Te'o Daniel Bryan's personality, so that way he's more active and more charismatic. I'll give Phillip Rivers John Cena personality, so that way Phillip Rivers can market the Chargers better. I'll give Keenan Allen Triple H's personality, because I always feel great wide receivers need to have great fucking egos. And I would give Eric Weddle Luke Harper's personality, just because I think it would make Eric Weddle into a fucking machine. So those would be the personalities I would give to my favorite Charger players. Paul Tafoya asked Q&A, with football season around the corner, do you think the Chargers have a legit shot at challenging my team, the Denver Broncos, for the AFC West title? No. I mean, the Chargers' schedule is very favorable, but you got to understand, Paul Tafoya, the Chargers tend to, you know, struggle even against some of the weaker teams, and they should beat certain teams, but they don't. But when it comes down to it, I think your Broncos will still reign supreme in the AFC West. And on WWE's top 50 superstars of all time, these are the top 15. 15, Mr. Perfect. 14, Macho Man. 13, Gorgeous George. 12, Triple H. 11, Eddie Guerrero. 10, Roddy Piper. 9, Rey Mysterio. 8, Andre the Giant. 7, Ricky the Steamboat. 6, Harley Race. 5, The Rock. 4, Bret Hart. 3, Stone Cold Steve Austin. 2, Undertaker. 1, Shawn Michaels. Is there anyone on this list that's ranked too high or too low? Do you think this is a pretty much accurate? No, it's not an accurate list. I think Mr. Perfect, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, and Triple H are ranked way too high to be up there. You know, I think they're definitely top 50 superstars, but not in the top 10 whatsoever. Rey Mysterio, I think, is in the top 20 for sure. You know, Hogan was left off that list, and he was made at, like, what, number 23? It was like a joke. That whole DVD is a joke. Don't believe that list. Don't look at that list as the end-all, be-all when it comes down to top 15 superstars of all time in the WWE, Paul Tafoya, because that list is garbage. Reed19 asks, what if Christian never left for the WWE, never left the WWE for TNA in 2005? Would he have become a world champion if he didn't? No, he would have never became a world champion in the WWE at that time. He definitely would have still gotten that sympathy run with Edge, but I don't think he would have became the world champion. I mean, Christian kind of left the WWE because he was burnt out of the WWE schedule. I mean, when you work 8 years of that schedule, you know, it tends to, you know, do a number on your body. So Christian left for TNA for, you know, a much more nicer and lesser load schedule. So smart decision on his part. And number 2, would TNA and Christian's career be better off or worse off if he was still with the company? It would definitely be worse off, especially in the bank account department, that's for sure. But it would definitely be a worse off for him when it comes down to it, because really at the end of the day, a lot of wrestling fans have turned their back on Kurt Angle, Jeff Hardy, you know, Sting, and so many other guys that were just rejects that have been winning the TNA World title. I'm pretty sure a lot of wrestling fans would turn their backs on Christian too. So it's definitely better off that Christian went back to the WWE and did the stuff that he did. His TNA run was definitely a really good run. You could argue Christian's best run in his whole career, but in all honesty, him staying in TNA would have not benefited him or benefit anyone on that Impact Wrestling roster, and I truly believe it. Redwood316 asks, what did you think of the Rated RKO tag team? I liked it. I just felt that it ended shitty and that they never really had that huge blow-off match that I felt would have benefited both Randy Orton and Edge. That's just my opinion on it. I just felt like you should have had a huge blow-off match between these two guys. I mean, these guys were main eventers, and they were forming like the evil mega powers, you know, as Rated RKO, and they didn't even have a big blow-off match, not even at a Mania or a Backlash. Yeah, that's just me. Redwood316 asks, who's your favorite comic book superhero and your favorite comic book villain? Marvel side of things, my favorite comic book hero would have to be Spider-Man, and when it comes down to DC, my favorite comic book hero would have to be either Green Lantern or Flash. When it comes down to villains, Marvel, mostly just Magneto. I've always found Magneto to be an interesting read. Anytime something involved with Magneto, I like a lot. In DC-wise, Joker, he's always a favorite of everyone's, but I really do enjoy the Joker. He's definitely a fun read overall. And when it comes down to Spider-Man, I know you're going to ask me that. Peter Parker Spider-Man. Fuck Ben Reilly and fuck Dr. Octavius. Any version of Peter Parker I am cool with. The Gochi Man asks, which tag team of James Storm's did you like better? America's Most Wanted, Beer Money, or Gunstorm? Gunstorm, definitely no, because I hate Gunner. Beer Money, because Robert Roode is one of my favorites of all time, and James Storm I've always liked, and it was just funny that this tag team got over, because I never felt this tag team would get over. I was just like, man, why are they wasting James Storm and Bobby Roode in the fucking tag team division? And there they were as one of the most over tag teams with that corny catchphrase, Beer Money! So I really like Beer Money. The Gochi Man asks, who is your favorite YouTuber in the YWC? The Slug Daddy from OTR Essential. I really just like his views and opinions on wrestling. I like that he gives an old school view on things. I like the way he approaches it with the business. It's always fun when he talks about, you know, the Breakfast Club and how they rule. I like the characters that he brings on in a lot of his reviews. So in all honesty, it would have to definitely be the Slug Daddy when it comes down to it. I just find him overall the most entertaining YouTubers. I like other YouTubers as well, but if I were to choose my #1 favorite and the one guy that I always make when he uploads a video, I watch that video, it would have to be the Slug Daddy. Jake Lunas asks, how would you have booked the Invasion angle back in 2001? This will be a bridge booking, Jake Lunas, so I hope that's cool with you, man. So pretty much I would have the Invasion angle after WrestleMania 17. Instead of, you know, Austin and Angle defecting, I would just have it where DDP, Booker T, and Rhino would be, you know, the main guys, but they have like a leader that they don't want to talk about, but he's on the Team WWF side. He's on the WWF side. Dudley Boys would have defected, you know, and then I would have Chris Jericho reveal that he's really the leader of the Invasion. He planned this with Stephanie and Shane, and I would have it, you know, where Jericho, you know, he wins the WWF title, and the WCW title, it's mostly with the WWF guys. You know, for a while, like, Booker T would be WCW champion, but then I would have Booker T drop it at, like, let's say Survivor Series, And then afterwards, I would have it where there would be a match where the WCW World Title gets vacated somehow. I'd have a way where, you know, the World Title just gets vacated. And then at the Royal Rumble, you would have it where Triple H, you know, he comes back. He wins the WCW World Championship. The NWO at this time would have came out. And I'm booking the invasion angle all the way to WrestleMania fucking 18. And then I would have had it, you know, at WrestleMania 18, you have it where Jericho versus Triple H for the undisputed title. Triple H is the WCW champion. Jericho's the WWF champion. That's going to be your undisputed title match. Stone Cold versus Hulk Hogan. I would have The Rock lead Team WWF against the rest of the NWO that will have Team WCW. I'd try to find a way to get Sting into the company and have Undertaker versus Sting. So that's how I would book the invasion angle. I know it's really abridged and I didn't really get to go into full detail on it, man, but you know, for the Q&A purposes, I have to go by a little bit faster, but I hope that sounds a lot more entertaining and a lot more interesting than what we saw on the real life TV. Joe Juicy asked, what did you think of the Naturals from TNA? I liked them. Very talented tag team. I just didn't like the times when they were with Shane Douglas. I thought that was just useless and did not help Chase Daniels or Andy Stevens whatsoever. And also your question is, in your opinion, who are some of the most unattractive divas and knockouts you've seen? Who? You know, I never got Madison Rayne. I never was really attracted to Madison Rayne and Angelina Love, for that example. I never really was that attracted to them. You know, I give AJ Lee shit that she looks like a 12-year-old, but I can see some attractive appeal to her. But Madison Rayne and Angelina Love, definitely from the TNA side of things, I never really found attractive. From WWE, probably Ivory. I never really felt Ivory was that attractive looking. I never really looked at Ivory and said, oh, she is hot. So definitely Ivory, and I like Jackie Gata, but I would also have to throw Jackie Gata in that mix. Like, you know, Jackie Gata was definitely a good-looking woman, but someone that I just never really looked at and said, boy, she's attractive. So those would be my four I would have to choose, you know, least attractive divas in my personal opinion. Greg Toomer asked, what would your reaction be if Chris Benoit was the last entry in the Royal Rumble in 2015 and then won the Royal Rumble and celebrates with his wife and kid after winning? I would puke because I would see 3 zombies celebrating a Royal Rumble win. That's what I would pretty much do. And anyone in that arena for Royal Rumble 2015 better run because zombies will fuck your shit up. So I would puke. I think I would also stop watching wrestling. And Greg Toomer also asked, what was your favorite wrestler from the Hogan era, the New Generation era, Attitude era, Ruthless Aggression era, and current watered down PG era? The Hogan era would have to be Hulk Hogan. New Generation era, Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. Attitude era, Stone Cold. Ruthless Aggression, Kurt Angle. And PG era, Randy Orton. Josh Chambers asked, hey Chase, do you know how Shawn Michaels was disrespecting the Canadian flag at Survivor Series 1997 before the Montreal Screwjob? What would happen if Shawn did that today? Well, I answered that in the last Q&A, and I pretty much just said Shawn Michaels would be suspended for 15 days. So, there's your answer for you, buddy. Josh Chambers asked, in your opinion, which WWE wrestlers was buried the worst, thus killing any chances of him being a top star? Mabel. I would have to say Mabel, and here's the reason why. I know a lot of people didn't like fucking Mabel and thought it was stupid that he wanted the King of the Ring, but he was a big black guy, and definitely something different than what the WCW was doing, especially in 1995, and instead, you just feed him to Kevin Nash, and you look at Mabel's career afterwards. He became Big Daddy V and Viscera the Love Machine, where he would hump people. Yeah, I don't think Mabel ever recovered after losing to Kevin Nash at SummerSlam 95. So I definitely would say Mabel. I definitely thought he could have been a big star for the company. Either Mabel or Vader. Those would be the 2 guys that I would say that definitely got buried, especially at the time when WWF needed something different and unique on the roster, especially a big monster heel or a big monster babyface. They definitely needed that to compete with WCW, yet they kept on going with the smaller and less athletic big guys. I don't know why. Like, you know, the smaller guys like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, and the less big athletic guys like Kevin Nash. They wanted to go down those routes instead of, you know, giving it to, you know, athletic big guys like Mabel and Vader. I just don't understand. Final Limits asked the questions. If Rockstar did a remake of Vice City for the PS4 with updated graphics like GTA 5 and the engine from GTA 5, would you buy it? Oh, hell yeah. Could you imagine Vice City and fucking GTA 5 graphics and the driving mechanics finally great in Vice City? It would be an amazing game. Yes, I would buy that. And what if the games were still being made for the PS2? Can you imagine GTA 4 and 5 would have been like, and the system they run in with GTA San Andreas graphics and gameplay. GTA 5 I can kind of imagine because they would probably pretty much just copy and paste the GTA 5, San Andreas map. GTA 4 because they expanded Liberty City from GTA 3. So I don't know how I could really look at GTA 3 and then say like, oh, you know, it would have worked. I guess it could have worked a little bit. I can't imagine GTA 4, but definitely GTA 5 I can imagine. I don't know how they would do the character switch thing. I think that would be physically impossible on the PS3. So that's just my opinion on that. On the PS2, I should say. So that would just be my opinion on that. Bubblegum Flavored Stories asks, do you think Bray Wyatt can be a good babyface? Yes, I think Bray Wyatt's ultimate role and where he's going to succeed in his career, man, is as a babyface. That's where I think Bray Wyatt's going to succeed at the end of the day. Just the messages he tries to send, you know, he's there for the girl that gets called ugly. You know, he's definitely someone that can be a prophet for those that, you know, believe that they can't succeed in anything in life, but he can show you that you can. You just have to believe in Bray Wyatt. So, yeah, I can definitely see Bray Wyatt being a great babyface. And do you think WrestleMania 27 is one of the worst of all time? Definitely one of the top 15 worst pay-per-views of all time, but not the worst WrestleMania. Those honors go to either 9 or 11. Those two are just garbage. You know, some people say 11 for certain reasons. Some people say 9. So, really, to be honest, those would be my two worst pay-per-views. WrestleManias, in my personal opinion. Shoror Horror asks, Q&A, do you wish WWE would bring back Money in the Bank to WrestleMania? Oh, yeah, I do. I really feel Money in the Bank works perfectly on WrestleMania. It's a good curtain jerker. It's a good second match. It's a good third match on the card. You get a bunch of guys on the card. You know, you can make superstars out of that match. You get a lot of great WrestleMania moments possibly happening in that match. And it's a great WrestleMania moment for anyone who wins the briefcase. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Money in the Bank pay-per-view, it's a good idea. It's a good idea on paper. But here's the thing. Not a lot of people are probably going to watch that Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But, you know, a lot of people are going to watch WrestleMania. You're going to get more people watching WrestleMania. And if you get some people watching a ladder match with you and you watch this guy win this contract that is like, you know, guaranteed a world title shot anytime, anywhere, that brings some intrigue. And maybe it's a guy that you like. Maybe if you saw a guy that you liked and he won that briefcase, you're like, man, I'm going to get back into wrestling because one of my favorites, he won that briefcase. So for sure, yeah, it definitely belongs at WrestleMania. I think it should be. And is it sad and pathetic that good mic work and Boston Fan 79 are middle-aged guys that like John Cena? No, you like who you like, man. Just because they like John Cena doesn't make them pathetic. It's just who they like, man. I don't view it like that. So, no, personally, to me, I don't think it's pathetic whatsoever. If they like John Cena, they have more than the right to like who they like. You know, it's just how they are as fans. Lino Gino asks, thoughts on Scotty 2 Hotty? I love Scotty 2 Hotty, man. WWE, bring him back. You saw him at Arrival. You saw him on the old school Raw. The dude can still fucking go. He would be a perfect enhancement guy for some of your top stars, man. Instead of sending out the same freaking bozos, just send out Scotty 2 Hotty out there. He's guaranteed a good reaction, a good pop when he's going to taunt for the worm. Perfect guy to use as your enhancement guy. Why not? And thoughts on Ivory? Never really was a big fan of her as a wrestler. Like I said, I didn't think she was that attractive, in my personal opinion. But I definitely liked what she did behind the scenes when it comes down to the filming and media aspects of the WWE. I love the WWE experience. It was definitely one of my favorite shows growing up as a wrestling fan. Like, it was cool, you know, watching her and Todd Grisham explore New York and, you know, recap us what was going on in the events of the WWE. That was definitely a fun time for me watching her. So I would definitely say I liked her, you know, doing her backstage stuff, you know, and camera stuff more than, you know, as her as a wrestler, in my opinion. Lorna Lowe asks, which feud do you think would get the fans' interest more? Dean Ambrose versus Undertaker or Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt? Ooh. I would have to say Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt. Undertaker would definitely get some fans' interest, but, you know, without the streak, what really is there to get interested about Undertaker right now? Unless this was like Undertaker's retirement match. But Ambrose and Wyatt, you could talk asses into seats, and it definitely would be showing there's a change in the guard and a new generation approaching us. And how dumb is it that Good Mike Work mentions Cena's name every single video that he does, even the LeBron James one? Don't you want to punch him in the face for doing that? No. I don't really care when Good Mike Work mentions Cena, man. I don't get mad when Good Mike Work talks about Cena. I know a lot of you guys do, but I don't. I could care less. He's just using Cena as a reference point. Jack Trice asks, do you think Cena killed Bray Wyatt's character since he made Bray his little bitch at Mania and at Payback. How better would it have been if Bray would have won at Mania and ER and lost to Cena at Payback? You should have done it more like this. Bray Wyatt wins at WrestleMania. Bray Wyatt loses at Extreme Rules because Cena escapes the cage. You know, he barely escapes the cage. It was just like a lucky Cena win, and then he loses at Payback. That's how you should do. That's how you should have really booked Bray Wyatt and John Cena feud, in my personal opinion, because at least then, with my booking, you know, Cena shows that he barely beat Bray Wyatt. He got lucky escaping that fucking cage, and Cena really got his ass beat. And this would have actually made the Money in the Bank ladder match more interesting, because then you wouldn't believe that they would give it to John Cena since Bray Wyatt got all these massive wins over him. So, yeah, really, to be honest, they should have made Bray Wyatt into so much bigger than he is. And yes, Cena made him his little bitch. And how awesome would it be if Brock Lesnar botches an F5 and have Cena land on his head like he did with the A-Train back in the day? And what did you think of that when that happened to A-Train? That was just a sloppy F5 by Brock Lesnar. I felt bad for A-Train. Thank God he didn't really get that much of a serious injury. It definitely would be funny to see that happen to Cena. But Cena sells the F5 pretty well, so I don't think it's going to happen. But I would like to see a good botch in the Cena versus Lesnar match. Not a botch that would hurt anyone, just a nice, funny little botch that we can talk about. So that's just me. Reginald D. Huffs, Cesaro, Ambrose, who's better? Ambrose. I think Ambrose has all the tools to succeed in the WWE. Cesaro, for many years, he's been lacking that character to really get him over as a heel or a babyface. You know, definitely inside the ring, he can do wonderful things. But when it comes down to character department and mic skills department, always been lacking there. And what superstar you wouldn't care if WWE released tomorrow? Alberto Del Rio, Curtis Axel, Sin Cara. Those would be the three I would not care about. I'd just be like, whatever, you guys fucking release them. Goodbye. I feel bad for Del Rio. I used to like Del Rio. It is my destiny. Fucking Del Rio back in the good old days. I love Watermelon 525. Thought on Paris Helen and Nicole Richie. They suck and they're stupid bitches. How about that for thoughts? And did you know CJ, Young Melee, and Franklin Solo are cousins in real life? How cool is it that they were also made to look like their characters in San Andreas and GTA 5? That is pretty damn awesome. Yeah, I remember watching the IGN Comic-Con panel about that. That was pretty damn cool to find out that, like, Melee and Solo were cousins in real life. Solo definitely looks like Franklin, but Melee, he doesn't really look like CJ that much. I don't think he really does. So that's just my opinion on that. But yeah, it's really fucking awesome that, you know, you filmed a game back in like 2002, and then your cousin's doing the same fucking shit in 2012, and they both come out near the same exact time. So you know, 2004 for GTA San Andreas and 2013, but you know, you get the idea. It's been a long process filming those games, and it's pretty crazy that, like, you know, your cousin's getting that same opportunity that you got when you were a young kid. Escoredo Compton asked, what did you think of the Brady Bunch and the Brady Bunch theme song, and can you sing it? I cannot sing the Brady Bunch theme song, but I did like the Brady Bunch, but it's not my favorite sitcom. And what did you think of the Full House theme song? And what characters of Michelle's friends did you like the most? Michelle. I always remember Kimmy, DJ's friend, but when it comes down to Michelle, didn't she have that little black friend, Theo? I'll say little black friend, Theo. Theo was my favorite friend when it comes down to Michelle. I think he was featured the most out of Michelle's strength. And Full House theme song, that's a fucking amazing theme song. Whatever happened to responsibility? The milkman, the paperboy, evening TV. You look around the corner and you're there, waiting around the bend. Everywhere you look, everywhere there's a heart of somebody who needs you. I know that was a terrible rendition of it, but hey, I tried my best. Little Fish asks, Q&A, do you think Paul Heyman looks weird without the ponytail? Yes, he does look weird without the ponytail. I don't know why he tries to give the mini ponytail going, but Paul, stop, man. Ponytail's gone. Just keep your hair slicked back, man. Hate to say it to you, dude. Leave the memories alone, like Ric Flair would say. And what was the year WWE was the most PG and kid-friendly in? 1995? Not even fucking close. You know, it's funny to me that a lot of wrestling fans think like, the current stuff is too PG. Go watch 1995 and please tell me how some of the shit that you see in 1995 is not worse than some of the shit you're seeing now. Not even close. 1995 was the most PG. Bastion Booger. Mantar. The people today, El Torito and Hornswoggle. Oh, hell no. Fuck that shit. Mantar and Bastion fucking Booger. Worse than Hornswoggle and El Torito. 1995, by far the most PG and kid-friendly WWE has ever been in. It's not even close. Definitely one of the worst years in professional wrestling history. Go look at some of the stuff WCW was doing. Hulk Hogan in the Dungeon of Doom. What's that? There ain't no Hulkamaniacs here. Ah! The water's not hot! Oh, God. Fuck off. 1995 is just a terrible year in wrestling. Oh. Brony Loney asks, if Bret Hart would have stayed in WWE and not gone in WCW, do you think Owen would have still been alive? Nope. And the reason why I say that is because Bret doesn't control Owen's career. Owen wanted to be the Blue Blazer, and he wanted to work with the Blue Blazer gimmick. That's just the bottom line. So I don't think Bret would have changed his mind whatsoever. And if Bret would have stayed, would he have been the face of the WWE? Hell no, man. With Austin and Rock looming? No. Bret Hart would be great to have, to help build those guys up as top stars, but I don't think he would have been the face of the WWE whatsoever. Dave Lester asks Q&A, what if WWE was never was still WWF today? Never was still WWF. What if WWE never was still WWF today? What does that mean? Oh, if they were still WWF today? Definitely would have more fan interest. I think a lot of fans would be able to recognize the brand more. I think the name change kind of pissed fans off because, some fans in wrestling, let's face it, they can't accept change, and that's just the bottom line. Fans still live in the past. And, when WCW and ECW folded, at least they said, well, at least WWF's still around, and WWF was becoming WWE, and then it was just like, oh, man. What's happening to this wrestling business I love? Why is they changing their name? Come on, Vince, you're better than that. So I think a lot of wrestling fans just didn't like it whatsoever. But I think there'll just definitely be more interest, more relativity when it comes down to it. Because whenever you ask people about wrestling, they're like, oh, yeah, WWF's still around. People still call it WWF. Barely anyone calls it WWE for what I know. What if the roster from 1997 was all here today and none of the new guys, Ambrose Rollins, all the aging Attitude Era veterans here? It would be a much better wrestling product, but it would be PG eyes, man. That's all I got to say about it. But it would definitely be a much better wrestling product. You would definitely have a lot more building blocks for the fucking future. I mean, young Rock, young Austin, young Triple H, still some Shawn Michaels, and still some Bret Hart. Ooh, fucking great roster right there. Justin Side asks, how would you have a Joseph Park gimmick worked in the WWE? Well, I don't think it would have gotten over. I think the WWE would have ruined it by making it too marky. That's just how I would see it. So it would have worked well, but I don't think it would have gone too over. And Abyss versus Demon King in WWE. If Abyss came to the WWE, would it have worked? Yeah, it definitely would have worked, but I don't think the fan interest would be there. I mean, if this was 2005, okay, yeah, that would work. But now, who cares? Abyss is like fucking old and can only wrestle in Monster Balls matches. And Kane is that the same thing where he's old and he can only wrestle in fucking hardcore matches to get over. So it could work, but I don't think it would have been interesting, that's for sure. Randy Bussetti asks, Q&A, haven't gotten all the scrap papers in GTA 5? Not yet. Collecting them as we speak. I got all the UFO pieces, though. That was fucking sick. I got my UFO car, so that's pretty cool. And what Freaks and Strangers missions have you done in GTA 5? Pretty much all of them. Fuck you, Kiflon, and the Epsilon program. You guys are garbage, making me run around in the fucking desert for fucking hours on end. Nintendo Fanboy 1998 asks, what did you think of David A-List Otunga in the NXT days? I hated him. I just couldn't stand him. I like lawyer David Otunga. He's one of my favorite, but fucking David A-List Otunga in NXT, I just couldn't stand this guy whatsoever. And what if Heath Slater wins the 2015 Royal Rumble? Then we will know that the WWE's desperate and that the WWE will be ending soon. I hate to say it, I like Slater, but he's not a guy that deserves to win the Royal Rumble, not even close. Peter Nilton asks, Q&A, what if Daniel Bryan was around in the Attitude Era? He would have succeeded. Could you imagine the fucking matches? Him versus Jericho, him versus Benoit, him versus... Oh my God, would it be awesome matches? But he would have done well. Definitely upper mid-carder that one day could have broken the glass ceiling. And what future videos do you have planned? That comes around normally when I'm thinking at night or if I'm trying to think of different content to have. I look to do still the classic pay-per-view reviews, the Monday Night Raw, Impact Wrestling reviews. Definitely more wrestling commentaries on this channel. You can look forward to that. Maybe start my own podcast up and interview other people, members of the YWC. That I think would be cool. But I definitely have some fun stuff planned for this channel. So I hope you stay tuned and you watch some of that fun stuff. Jack the Dildo King asks, or Jack Talking Dildo asks, do you think Kurt Angle should start thinking about retirement? His injuries are getting scary. Yes, he should. I mean, as much as I would like to see Angle in the WWE again, and I think that would be a really, really good matchup with Daniel Bryan and a bunch of other guys, I think he should definitely think about retiring, because I don't want to be watching a Kurt Angle match and he misses a fucking moonsault and then he's like dead in the middle of the ring. I'm sorry. I don't want to see that scene. That would just be fucking terrible. AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan. Who would win? Daniel Bryan. If this was in WWE, Daniel Bryan's going over. Fuck that. Vince ain't going to put over a TNA guy. Fuck that shit. That's the truth about that. Sorry about that. I love AJ Styles, but Daniel Bryan would win that for sure. John Cutt asked, what was the match that made you go, yep, I'm a wrestling fan now? Not really a match, but a promo by Chris Jericho when he was doing the 1,004 Holds promo. Like, his match that he had was very bad, but he won it, and then afterwards he cut a promo afterwards talking about how he's the master of 1,004 Holds. So that was really that made me into a wrestling fan. Now, the match that made me proud to be a wrestling fan, and one that said to myself, I shouldn't be ashamed of liking wrestling, because at that point in time, you know, growing up, you know, especially in middle school, I would get, you know, sometimes shit for, you know, wearing some wrestling shirts that I had, or, you know, having some of my favorite wrestlers in the front of my binder, because what I would do for my binders is, like, I'm a really creative person, so I would have, like, my favorite football player, my favorite basketball player, you know, I would just have all my interests in the front of my binder, you know, just to show who I am, and, you know, I would have, you know, like, Triple H on there, or, you know, Kurt Angle on there, and, you know, people are like, why do you watch that crap? And, you know, one thing that made me just, like, stop saying, like, listening to those idiots that just don't like wrestling anymore was Kurt Angle and Undertaker. That made me, at No Way Out 2006, you know, I've been watching a lot of wrestling, but that match right there said, you know what, even though I may get shit on at middle school for being a wrestling fan, this is one match that I can say, go watch that and tell me how it's just fake and how is this garbage, how is this boring, because that match was fucking awesome, and it made me appreciate myself more as a wrestling fan and start to, you know, accept that I am a wrestling fan and not be embarrassed by it. And if Goldberg returned to the WWE, which three superstars would you like him to see him be in a storyline or wrestle? They ruined the Bo Dallas storyline for me. Reigns, I think that would work. You know, Roman Reigns does have that kind of Goldberg feel to him, and a lot of people sometimes compare him to Goldberg, so I would definitely say Roman Reigns. Cena, because Goldberg's all about the money, brother, so he definitely would want to get a match with Cena. And, you know, just for an interesting dynamic, I think Daniel Bryan. I think him and Daniel Bryan would be an interesting dynamic. You know, Goldberg, you make him come back as this heel, and he freaking just insults Daniel Bryan, being like, you're small. Back in my day, you had to be this size, this size. You're none of that, Bryan. You know, have Goldberg cut a terrible promo. But, hey, at least it'd be somewhat interesting. Those would definitely be the three I would like to see him feud with. Johnny Green asks, hey, Chase, I have to ask a question for the Thursday Q&A. Thanks, buddy. Do you think that it would be a good idea to push Curtis Axel as a heel, saying that he is better than his spotter, which would make him a big name in the WWE? I don't like Curtis Axel, in all honesty. But that gimmick would definitely work for Curtis Axel. It wouldn't make him a big name in the WWE, but it definitely would work, because it's like, you know, wrestling fans would be like, how dare this little cunt, you know, claims he's better than Mr. Perfect. No one is better than Mr. Perfect. Like, get the fuck out of here. This guy's an asshole. And what I would do is, I would tell Curtis Axel, wrestle bad on purpose. That would make the gimmick over. Could you imagine if this little douchebag is coming out and he's all like, yeah, I'm better than my dad. I'm better than my grandfather. And he just absolutely sucks. It would be a perfect gimmick. And then afterwards, if you want to turn him babyface, you make him a good wrestler again. It would work. And number two, who gives better finishers? Christian, Unprettier, or Billy Kidman finisher? The shooting star press, Billy Kidman. I think he gave the best shooting star press I've seen, so I would say Billy Kidman. And Real Heel will end off this Q&A. What do you think of Robert Roode's rich gimmick back in 2007 with Miss Tracy Brooks? Fucking perfect. I felt he was the one that should have beat Samoa Joe for the TNA World Title. That's my thoughts on it all. I was all like, man, Robert Roode, Samoa Joe, you have Samoa Joe win that TNA World Strap, and then afterwards you build up Robert Roode as a mass appeal. 2008, Bound for Glory, Robert Roode wins the world title. But no, TNA didn't go down that route, because you know who beat Joe for the fucking title. Woo! The Icon fucking Sting. Can't form that main event mafia, TNA frontline. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck off. Fuck off. That's really what pissed me off, man. That's why I hate 2008 overall as a fucking year. You have Samoa Joe being your monster baby face, but instead of dropping it to fucking Robert Roode about Glory, we had to give it to fucking Sting. Fuck off. And people wonder why TNA's in fucking trouble sometimes. But when it comes down to it, yeah, I fucking loved it. It worked perfectly. Tracy was a great heat getter. She was a very good-looking woman, easy to look at on the eyes, and you can tell that this girl would be, you know, a big bitch towards anyone. So really, to be honest, I really, really did like the dynamic there. I felt he should have became TNA World Champion in 08, but they didn't because they had to give it to fucking Sting again. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for sending in your questions for the Q&A. Remember, you guys can do so every week on my channel, description box with all the details. I'll see you guys tomorrow for my WWE NXT review and my Impact Wrestling review. If you guys haven't already, check out the Paul Heyman video about the documentary that I reviewed on this channel. I'll see you all next time. Hope you guys enjoy your Thursday. Peace. Oh, I also got an MMA podcast for you guys later tonight.